Introduce to you guys another giant in our ecosystem here at Connect United. Last week, we had the pleasure of listening to our president, Mr. Brad Wilden. He's the president of our crypto debit card. And this week, we're going to continue that series. We're going to continue on into Connect United's ecosystem. We have so many phenomenal platforms here. And I honestly get to pick which ones we get to talk to. And I had the pleasure of meeting this gentleman back in November of 2021. And I listened to him talk about what he wanted to do and what he wanted to introduce to healthcare and the changes that are going to be coming to the healthcare. And what I love the most about Connect United is it's a platform that introduces pretty much our entire ecosystem to the blockchain. So I'm super excited this morning to introduce to you guys our president of our healthcare blockchain platform. His name is Mr. Jeff Whilhite of Blue United. Jeff, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Good.
First of
Good.
all,
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. I want to thank you for taking time out your busy schedule. It's a Monday morning, so I know what a Monday morning probably looks like for you. So thank you so much for jumping on to our Hits 92.3 family. And I just want to jump right into it. And the first question I want to ask, if you don't mind, can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself? And then if you can just go right into exactly what Blue United is here, what we want to introduce to the blockchain.
Sure, no problem. So I've been in healthcare in some capacity. Over 20 years, probably pushing 25 years. I've worked in some of the, in big pharma. I've worked in some of the big medical healthcare provider, established companies. I've worked in some startup environments. I've worked in, let me say it this way. I kind of started with some of the bigger traditional healthcare systems and industries, and I was wanting to come in. The thing I loved about healthcare is, yes, there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of business opportunity. There's interesting problems to solve. But I really like the fact that at the end of the day, really what we're trying to do is to deliver to people things that make them better, healthier, happier. And it just feels good that if that's really what you're making is something that I always enjoyed about being in this. And so I got into it and I realized healthcare is great, but sometimes as you get into the big industry part of it, they lose the patient. They lose what I loved about healthcare, and it becomes they're more interested in getting returns for their shareholders, or they get lost in the bureaucracy of the giant corporations that they create. And so then I moved to more of of running stuff. And so then I'm like, I'm going to go run some facilities. And I was doing delivery with, post-acute care and rehabilitation centers and trying to, be more on the front lines, dealing with the patients and working there. And then it was, I had issues with people that really needed care, couldn't get it because the insurance companies or the medical system would say, yeah, no, that you don't have that coverage, or no, you can't do that. When the patient and myself, or even, the doctors are going, that's what they need, but they're not letting me provide that to the patient. And so then I moved into more of the entrepreneurial side, where I started a few of my own businesses, and I tried to say, how can we change the healthcare system, from being adjacent to, the tradition. So start like a new way of doing business, a new delivery system, a new product, a new consulting. And I worked in the lab space, the pharmacy space, the actual, patient care space in creating those. And one of my problems I found is I was frustrated with, especially here in the United States, but this is also true internationally, that healthcare is not in the patient's control. What they want isn't always given to them. It's other people know better. Other people are in control. And, being a father, my wife and I, it's really interesting when you take a child to, the doctor. And sometimes they with that old saying, mother knows best, like that mother's intuition. They really know kind of better what's going on with their child than sometimes even the healthcare system, right? They just say, nope, this is the formula. Runny nose, I'm going to prescribe you this. No, that's not a symptom. Anyway. So there's inherent problems in the way that healthcare is delivered. And so when I got introduced to blockchain technology about 5 years ago, first it was like everybody else was like, what is this? This is interesting. Okay, this is a kind of revolutionary. I love the term decentralization, really connecting the peer-to-peer, the two ends of the transaction and getting all the middlemen out of the middle, because the technology can provide all the security and transparency that's needed. Within a few years, we started looking and saying, you know what, healthcare, wellness, your well-being is one of these areas that would work perfectly to apply blockchain technologies and the whole mantra of blockchain, of decentralization. So we started, Blue United, and we started gathering use cases and meeting with, big providers and thought leaders and, scientists, doctors, all sorts of things, and started talking about what could we do? How could we use the blockchain to affect people's lives for the better? How can this new revolution help people in this area of their life? And we started to line up, and so many opportunities and ideas. It's almost overwhelming, and it's just almost like the perfect fit, because one of the things in healthcare, like that I kind of mentioned or alluded to, is we don't own our own healthcare. We don't own our medical records. We don't get to make our own decisions. We go, and the doctors, the insurance, the providers say what they will and won't do, and we're not, because we're not armed with all of the information. We don't have transparency to everything, and our goals is to get us healthy are not aligned sometimes with the provider's goals and the way that they're incentivized and the way the insurance pays the doctors. And surgeons are incentivized to do surgery because that's what they do, and that's how the healthcare system's set up. But what if that's not actually the best option? What if there's other options for the patient? What's best? And so I had this feeling of, call me a control freak, but when it comes to my health or my family's health, I wanted to be in control. And so that's where we kind of started this whole project. So that's real, high level kind of mission statement type stuff, but it's to give people the control and the ownership of their own healthcare and their own journey, and the information and transparency that they need to make those decisions and to guide their health.
Awesome.
So sorry, that was a long answer.
No, but that was a good answer. I appreciate that. One thing I did want to ask is, when did Blue officially get started, Jeff?
Oh, man. So in concept and idea, it actually started back even before COVID kind of got going. So I would say it was, we started the idea, started looking into some use cases, started formed the company, whatever the else. I think it was like 2018. And so it had this kind of, slow start. COVID really shifted things up quite a bit, right? The whole world went into slow-mo as far as stuff. We actually did a bunch of things with Blue and our entity. We actually started working on the supply chain problem for about a year with all of the, medical supplies that weren't available to around the world to different people. And so we did some kind of short-term ventures with our relationships and the people we had during that. But then during 2020, and then really got it cranked up, I'd say in 2021. Really got it going for like the whole really, forming the blockchain, starting to build the team, starting to hire, starting to put all the pieces together. But the true foundation was probably 2019.
Okay, so when did you start selling the nodes?
So we started selling the nodes just last year. Probably it's been, I want to say this is September, August, September last year. They just barely started going. Yeah. Early or second quarter last year.
Okay. And to date, if you don't mind sharing, how many nodes
Sure.
have been sold on the Blue platform?
Sure. We've sold total. Gala, it's over 2,000 nodes. We have taken a very slow tack to this. As you know, Diana, this, our Blue's relationship with Connect United and what, as we are just one of the blockchain offerings that Connect is representing, we've taken a little bit more, a little slower, more methodical. And so besides Connect United and just some introductions and some, some of these calls, we have not, what we feel, fully gone to market or really pushed or started to advertise or, and so just by kind of basic word of mouth and just a little bit of people that were, happen to be close enough to the inside, we've been able to sell 2,000. And so, because we wanted to get certain pieces in place before we really start pushing, right? And so we have now started to put those pieces in place, and we are actually, when we really start pushing and advertising is really when we have, all the distribution going and the token is listen, the actual, token drops into your wallet or your app. And so that's when we think, or when we plan to, completely open the floodgates and go. And so every blockchain, and even in Connect United platform you see, is kind of all taken a little bit different path. And we've taken a little bit slower, more methodical approach to that. And so although 2,000 is a lot, it's we have a maximum of 100,000 nodes, and we're kind of getting ready to unleash our the floodgates on our side.
Awesome. We got about 2 more minutes before we go to commercial break, but do you mind sharing your platform so that we can send them to the website, to all your social media sites? Can you share that information with them?
Absolutely. It's blueunited.com. So just go to blueunited.com, and on there you'll see all the information, a lot of answers, and the way to interact with us, the best way is to on the bottom of the page you'll see all our social medias, our Instagram, our Discord, our Facebook. Join that. We're very active on social media. It's the best way to reach out, to get questions answered, to get questions, interact with us directly to the whole team here at Blue.
Awesome. Okay, so when we come back from commercial break, the first thing I want to talk about, I wanted to see if you can just share with the listeners, as well as myself, the roadmap for Blue. We want to talk a little bit more about why a person would be interested in purchasing a Blue node, and then we're going to get into some juicy stuff, because I was reading on your website. I did a little bit of research before I called today, and I seen some partnerships that you did with Give, and I want you to talk a little bit about that as well.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Love to do that.
We're going to go to commercial break, and then when we come back, we'll go ahead and get into some juicy stuff.
Okay, very good.
All right. Thank you guys for being on. Jeff, can you still hear me okay?
Yes, I'm still here.
All right. Just so you know, sometimes when it comes to the radio, we have to think about what kind of music do you want people to listen to, and what do you think kind of matches up with your show. And I was talking to my engineer, and I told her, I said, this is what I want to hear on this show, because this is what I honestly do believe about your platform. I'm actually going to give a shout out to a young lady on my team. Her name is Patricia Davis. From the very first time that she ever heard you speak, she said that. She hit that nail on the that nail on the hammer. And she said, I think that we're sleeping on this platform. I think that this is going to be so much bigger than we could ever imagine. And I'm going to dedicate that one to her, because that's what I thought about when I walked in here today. And the engineer said, what do you want to hear during that commercial break? And just from, the conversations that we've had, and just a couple times that I've heard you speak about this platform, that's honestly from the bottom of my heart what I believe about this Blue platform. So thank you for your vision and your desire to want to take this to a whole nother level.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's really fulfilling to, like I've said, is to, we all want to make a living, we all want to do something big, we all want to create value, but then when you really get the heart of something, where you actually are doing something that's benefiting others' lives, not just financially, but even health wise and wellness wise, it just, I don't know, it just kind of matches up all the things that I want to do with my life: help people, provide build something of value, help others, and financially help. It's a great feeling. It's really a blessing to be here and a part of it, and love everybody that is like-minded and joining us and supporting it. Yeah, love
Awesome. Okay, so let's jump into it and let's talk a little bit about the Blue platform. Let's talk about some of the benefits of Blue and why a person would be looking at this particular platform, because we can talk a little bit about the nodes. We can, if you can explain a little bit about the node and tell them why they would be interested or why they should look at the platform and do their own due diligence. But let's talk about a little bit about the benefits for getting involved in the Blue blockchain.
Yeah. So so if you're getting involved in the Blue blockchain as a node owner, because there's many ways to get involved, is, when we get our more of our products and services up and going, there's different ways that you can participate in partaking, I'll say, of the products and services that we'll put out there, exercising and tracking that, putting that information on the blockchain, getting rewarded for healthy behaviors, utilizing our and we could talk more about this in a minute, our voice recognition, self-assessment for kind of like your mental fitness, mental well-being, utilizing the health stuff like access to doctors or prescriptions or your medical records, which are coming, and among many more that we're kind of have outlined in kind of a long-term roadmap. But the other way that you can really get involved is to support the blockchain. And the way you support the blockchain is, I always like to use that example of, I'm old enough to remember when cell phones were just getting going and cell phones were becoming a thing. And if you know the kind of the history and watch how the cell phone industry started, they first had to start by putting up a bunch of cell phone towers. They had to go out and get real estate and build a tower and put it up and turn it on. And then first they had all that. They had to build that infrastructure of many, just a vision, the cell phone towers being put up. Then they had to turn the network on. And now the cell phone towers are all communicating and talking to each other and doing their thing. And then they started selling cell phones and service. Like in a real rough sketch, that's kind of what they did. Well, the blockchain is the same way. We really, the way that we approach the blockchain, and this is why this is a real project, a real blockchain project, not just, the old ICO or some of those other, things that have come around in blockchain where people just, hey, here's a bunch of tokens, and they start selling cell phones before they put up the towers, right? And then the cell phones never get to be turned on. Well, our nodes are essentially like those cell phone towers. We want to sell, many of those, have many people up and turn on their cell phone towers, and then for running those nodes and turning them on, just like cell phone tower owners or people that own the real estate that they rent to the cell phone towers, they get continually rewarded for doing that. So our nodes, you turn them on, and they'll talk, they'll ping the network. We're creating the network of the Blue blockchain. By getting those nodes and turning them on, and for that you get rewarded Blue tokens. I will say, the way that those things are structured, the people that get in earlier, that are getting, when the price is still lower, as the price of the nodes are dynamic. The more nodes sold, the higher the price will be. They tick up over time, and that's because there's a limited amount. There will only ever be 100,000 nodes sold, smart nodes, I should say, sold, and so the price increases. And so you get in earlier when the price is a little bit lower, and you turn them on at the very beginning. You have a longer time that they're on, so you get more of the rewards. And so the blockchain rewards. So that's really the benefit, and it's for being an early supporter, for believing in it, for turning on a node and running it and creating that infrastructure that then the next phase is we'll be able to turn on that quote unquote cell phone network and really provide cell phone service for many people. So and we're doing all of these simultaneously, but just so you kind of understand that's an analogy that makes a little sense to me. Is that's what a node owner is they're buying these nodes to support the network.
Gotcha. Do you mind sharing one of the benefits I see also under the listing of the different services that is going to be offered on that particular blockchain is Canary, and that sounds a little
Yeah,
interesting. Do you mind sharing with our listeners what the
abs-
Canary device is?
absolutely. This is really cool. So this is something, I'll be honest, I didn't really know this field existed, but apparently there's something called voice scientists where they study the biomarkers in your voice. And we have connected and have, so there's a group called Canary Voice, and we have connected with them, and we actually have the blockchain exclusive application of their technology to utilize this technology. And what Canary Voice does is, these are some of the guys, they worked on Alexa, in creating, Alexa, I think it was that's Amazon, right? And the voice recognition thing at Amazon. They used to work in, I think it was even some U.S. government things where they would, listen to phone recordings or voice recordings to see if there's, terrorist activity or things like that. And what's fascinating about was, I thought that they were looking for certain words, or they try to recognize words and what people say, and that's not the case. What they listen to doesn't matter what words they say, or they could be talking about a picture, they could be describing some food or whatever, but they can listen to, it's like over 2,500 biomarkers in your voice. And they can determine with this artificial intelligence and this machine learning, and it gets better over time, the more samples it listens to and records, but they read these biomarkers, and they can identify things such as anxiety, stress, depression, lack of sleep. They did this big study. It was really fascinating. They can even listen to this large population. They can determine who has early onset dementia and Alzheimer's, coming just by the biomarkers in the voice, not the things they say, not tests to see if their memory's going or things that say. So it's fascinating to me that your vocal cords and what you're saying and how you say it and the inflection and how much energy is behind it and all sorts of things that's able to give that kind of feedback. So what with that, the first iteration or utilization of that we're developing is, we're developing a self-assessment tool. It'll be an app that'll go along with our, all our other apps that we have, and it'll be something on there that when you go and you can talk to it, and you talk to it for 30 seconds, and it'll give you feedback on where you're at. And now what I know about mental wellness and fitness and health is, it's one of those things that is really important to manage. We all know this, and it's been, especially in the last decade or so, there's been a lot of time and energy spent in the health world talking about the importance of your mental well-being, of getting enough sleep, of managing that. And what happens, though, is if you don't manage it and it gets out of control, and we've all probably experienced this at some level, when you're too stressed or you're too anxious or not enough sleep, you can spiral almost to a point where it's really hard to get yourself steady again, and it takes a lot to get back on steady ground. Well, this can help you, do that. You can listen to it and say, and it can give you feedback and go, oh, I'm a little more stressed. I'm than I thought I was. Sometimes you think, oh, I can handle this, I'll just push through, or I don't have enough sleep, or and this is, oh, wait a minute, I need to take care of myself before it gets out of control and then really impacts me. Then, as we all know, we can stress, we can make ourselves physically sick, we can lose work, impact relationships, all sorts of things. And I always use the example here. Again, I mentioned I have kids, and anybody that's had kids knows this is a typical answer. You ask them, hey, how was your day? And they're, fine. How was school today? Fine. Parents get nothing with that, right? And so I was like, well, what if I have the self-assessment tool? They could get actually a digital reward, a blue reward, if they talk into it, here and there a couple times a week or whatever. And they're like, oh, I'll do that. I'll just describe a picture. I'll talk about whatever, the weather. But even for talking with it for 30 seconds, it gives me some feedback as a parent where I can say, oh, they really are fine. They weren't lying. Okay, good. I don't have to worry. Or, oh, you know what? there's something going on in their life. How can I help them? And they're really stressed. They're really anxious. They're really depressed. They're really, lacking sleep. Okay, we need to manage this. So we're really excited about that tool because it's really unique. It's cutting edge. Fits really well with the whole incentivization thing of blockchain. And so that's something that's coming real soon that we hope you'll see this year in actual practice, developed and utilizing.
Awesome. And what about preventative care? Can you share a little bit about how they also can earn rewards for just living a healthier lifestyle?
Yes. So we are looking at all the ways we can tackle this. One of the things that is big in just overall healthcare, we always call it, is compliance, meaning a doctor says we got to eat better, maybe we need to have a certain diet, maybe we need to exercise, maybe we need to take our medication a certain way, and that's one of the hardest things that impacts our well-being is we don't adhere to doctor's orders or to an exercise plan or to a diet very well. And part of that is getting into kind of human behavior is, as humans, we like immediate gratification. All of the things that we do in our health is, it impacts us a little bit immediately, but the real impact comes 20 years down the road. When you've been exercising and eating right for a long time, you're like, okay, you really reap the benefits, later, right? Avoiding, big illness, big setbacks, big injury, whatever, or you're taking your medication the way you should. You're like, sometimes that day, it can be that day, but often it's not even that day. It's that, okay, I've done this for, many months on end and things are really managed with whatever you're dealing with. Well, again, we're able to do that, incentivize that with digital rewards. What if every day that somebody, does what they're supposed to, exercise, and they can show that through, integration with, say, like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or something like that, and they can show that they actually exercise, they earn some digital rewards. What if, we're still working on the exact way that we would do it with diet, but it's if they have a plan and they do it, and they show that they're following a diet, and they get digital rewards. If they are being, medication or with a doctor, they earn digital rewards. And so those are the ways that we're incentivizing it. We're putting together other tools. We do have a telehealth integration, which helps with a part of healthcare. We all know I actually love telehealth solutions. With me and, again, my kids, I keep bringing them up, but whenever I'm traveling, or they always seem to be sick when we're traveling and away from home, or we're somewhere middle of the night on a weekend, and I'm like, oh, it's so nice that I can just call up, talk to a doctor, get some advice. Maybe it's even fill a prescription, an antibiotic or something basic, and take care of our health more immediately, rather than waiting till the weekend's over and going on Monday, and maybe they are even sicker, or it's just been a really rough weekend, right, of illness, and so taking care of ourselves, our loved ones, and others. And so, other things like that, like our telehealth, it's not really, it'll be one that, for having a telehealth membership maybe on our platform, to showing that you have that kind of emergency tool in your back pocket that you can have, that earns you a reward, because it's not really one of those things where you earn rewards for being sick, because that's kind of, but it'd be hey, I have the membership, so I have all of this tool set. I'm working out, I'm getting rewards. I'm eating right, I'm getting rewards. I'm using Canary Voice, managing my mental illness, I'm getting rewards. Ooh, I have telemedicine coverage, so that if I do need it, I'm taken care of. That's a good, healthy decision, right? And so you get a reward for having that. And so those are some of the early things that we're implementing as the first use cases and implementation. Some of the long-term ones are much larger and much broader. They're talking about integrations with actual healthcare systems, about your health record on the blockchain, secured by you and your private keys. There's benefits for that, true, transparent information. This is a big one that we've been talking a lot about lately. because, and we saw this in COVID, by the way, and it doesn't matter where you line up. I think or where your opinion is, I think we all had an issue with, we didn't know which source to trust for information. It felt like everybody that told us about COVID had an axe to grind, or at least we suspected them of it, right? If the pharmaceutical company's telling us about it, I'm like, well, yeah, because they want us to buy their stuff. They want to make money off us. Or, if somebody else is telling you that it's not, you're like, well, why are you, that we shouldn't do these things in COVID? Well, why? And we've really looked at it, and I think I mentioned this. We have a new CEO that's coming on board for Blue. His name's Adam Sharp, and he's a bioinformatics doctor from Kaiser Permanente Health, and he actually starts next week. We're excited to have him, and we've been meeting with him and already working with him. And he's a bioinformatics doctor, and he even says, he goes, every source of information has a slant to it, has a bias. If you read something from the American Medical Association, that's an association for doctors. They have it slanted toward what's best for the doctors slightly, not always what's best for patients. Now, it's not exact, right? But, you look at, the FDA, the CDC, they all have a certain bias or something. And so when information's presented, it sometimes doesn't feel like it's the actual true, transparent data and information. So we're working on some really big things with Adam to help provide information and decision tools that people can have unbiased information, and then they can make their own decision. They can choose what to do and not do based on, unbiased, transparent information. You can do that with the blockchain. You can help make it more transparent, more peer-to-peer, more protected and secured, so that it's not controlled by somebody that may have a bias or trying to, lead people a certain way. So anyway, so a lot of stuff coming along those lines.
Just out of curiosity, could I ask, do you see dental, vision, any pharmacy coming anytime soon?
We do. We actually currently have, as just kind of a little dip of the toe into the pharmacy, where we have a pharmacy discount card that if anybody is paying, I do this, even if you have insurance, sometimes you can use these discount cards and pay less than what your insurance, you would pay with a copay for insurance or something. Sometimes if you have a copay on your medicine or other things, we do have that. And so, or if you maybe don't have coverage, it's a great thing to save a lot of money. So here in the U.S., that's a big thing. Not as big of an option internationally, that the RX discount card, but we have some big plans, and this will take a few years, but we have some big plans for ways to help provide medication at almost cost, because that's what, if you really want to look at one of the powers of blockchain, is getting the decentralization is just another term for cutting out middlemen, just having it be direct. Well, you realize that all those medications that we spend so much money on, or that your insurance spends a ton of money on your behalf, those pills cost pennies to make, or less than pennies each one, right? And there's ways to work directly with pharmaceutical manufacturers and cut out all the middlemen and provide a better and make it more accessible, because now it's a cost thing. Because that's one of the impediments around the world, is that the cost of medications and treatments for people that they don't have access. Well, we can tackle that. So we're looking at that. We actually have been in some talks with some dental networks and providers, and figure out how we might be able to work that in. We've been in talks with, and then vision would fit right in that same model. And we've been in talks with even some financial institutions and some financial type people to talk about ways that we, as our blockchain goes, and as the token, goes to market and gets value and people have it, there's ways that we could provide, a self-funded, insurance plan, or self-funded care, or a savings account, health savings, HSA, and different things. And, those are all just like at HSA. I mean, those are just, it's like a staking protocol in blockchain, right? We could work out certain things and do certain things. So anyway, so yes, this is where We could talk for a very long time about all of the ideas and the brainstorms. And what's interesting is we've actually had conversations with all of these people already within the industry, and they all go, brilliant, let's do it. And so it's really just about us lining them up and getting enough people on our team and growing our blockchain to a size that we have the resources to then tackle as many as we can at a time, and lining them up in whatever priority we can line them up with and start tackling them. But yes, there's all of those are definitely in the works.
Awesome. Could you share a little bit about, does Blue have a roadmap? Is there a roadmap that you guys have put together? Have any idea, what you want to do short term, long term?
Do you mean the products or I think we just talked a little bit about the product roadmap there, right? Like initially we kind of talked about the canary, the exercise, the telemedicine, and then the other things to come, the medical records, the studies or unbiased information, and then we go into pharmaceutical plays and as well as dental and vision, and so there's a lot there. So we're going to be really, as a team, especially when Adam starts, and with our advisory board, spending some time over the next month and a half to really fine tune that to a little bit better priority and roadmap, and we will. So you'll see some even more clarity on that in the coming weeks. But as far as that. And then I think we also spoke already about the blockchain roadmap, right? Let's get as many nodes out there, set up those cell phone towers, then we turn on the cell phone towers, and we're looking to turn on our actual distribution, meaning, tokens will actually start dropping into your the wallets or the app, the Blue app, within. We're within, I hate to give dates because there's so many things that can happen, but
right.
we're within months. Let's say 45, 60.
Okay, I totally understand. All right, we got about 5 more minutes before we wrap up, but go ahead.
Sure. No, and I would say, and then from there, then it's like now you have then you have the tokens. We have the rewards are being given for healthy behavior. Rewards are being given for running your nodes. Digital rewards, and then as that ecosystem goes, then those all go on to, hopefully, the plan is we hope that they go on to exchanges and become, interchangeable with.
Well, you just said my favorite word, Jeff. You just said my favorite word, so we might as well slide exchange. We're going to slide right into home plate. Since you happen to mention it, do you guys have any idea when you expect Blue to maybe hit an exchange?
So we do not have a date, and I know that's not the answer everybody wants to hear. Here's the thing. That's the plan. Whether it actually really has value, there's always on all these projects and blockchain, we don't know what the roadmap, what regulations, what will happen. But here's what I would say to that is, as you know, Diana, our team that also is sister project with our other sister projects, I'll say. We have many projects that have been able to get on exchanges, both centralized and decentralized exchanges. We know the roadmap. Those exchanges are aware of our blockchain team and who we are, and we have many that are going right now at the same time that we are. And so I believe that it'll be it's a very viable, reasonable to know that we are going to apply and be known and get all of the information that they need. Because what you do is you apply to these exchanges, and then they accept you on their time frame. They decide when they announce you and when they put you on there. But I guess the only thing I would say is so that's why it's an unknown. Will we go through and apply? Absolutely. We have all the contacts. We've been on, our other projects have been there. So we believe that our time frame for that will, for those reasons, should be shorter than our past projects, took to get on those exchanges. But as far as the date, no idea.
Okay. I just thought I would try to slide that in there. Um, and my last question is, if you don't mind sharing a little bit, can you talk about your partnership with Give and what you did for the Ukrainian refugees?
Yeah, we have a lot of cool things. One of the things that we love um, about what we're doing again is, and especially with Blue, because at the end of the day, we want to see people get better, have access, and have control of their health care, and do the things that make them happier, healthier, better all the way around. And so what we have is, our partnership with Give is, as we're going, there's many needs that people have around the world, and Give is a great organization that it's the reason we like them is, as we know, in philanthropic endeavors, one of my concerns was always like, hey, I give $100 to somebody. How much actually goes to the end person? How much does it actually go? How much? Only $5 of my 100, because $100 goes to the CEOs and the people of the like some benefits are built like that. And why I like Give is I know how much of the money that I gave to them actually goes to help people. And so recently with this flare up in the Ukraine and with Russia, we were able to donate some money. We were able to give not a huge amount. We want to give millions eventually to causes like this, but as we are in startup mode, we were able to give $21,000, and we actually know, which is cool with Give, and there's not a lot of details because a lot of it is kind of supposed to be kind of confidential, but we actually know and we're told of a few individuals and a network that was set up with the monies that we provided that was able to help extract people from Ukraine and get them into safer countries around them. And so to actually see those dollars and know that they directly impacted people's life and safety is awesome. And so we have many more things. We're in talks with Give about other things. There's specific medical and health needs needed all around the world in third world countries, and we have some really cool ideas that we can do to again impact people's health and wellness and safety, physically that we're talking with them and putting together. So look for even more of that kind of stuff coming from the Blue and Give partnership.
All right. Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Jeff Whilhite. Again, he is the president of Blue United. You shared so much information with our HITS family this afternoon, and I honestly have to say, I still have a whole bunch of questions, so I definitely pray that you will definitely come back and share with us again, because there's so many things we didn't get to, because I'll tell you guys to go to their social media sites, because over the next couple of weeks, there's going to be a name change. There's going to be so many things happening in the space. So I definitely know, Jeff, if I'm going to put you on the spot and say, do you plan on coming back to the HITS 92 show?
Of course I do, Diana. Of course.
All right, you guys heard him. You guys heard him. But I want to thank you again, because you provided us a wealth of information, and thank you so much for all that you do and all that you have done, and just for caring, pretty much, and providing so much value with the Blue platform. So thank you for joining us this morning.
Oh, thank you. By the way, it's we do this because of you and the people listening, and so as much as we can spread the good word and people come and get involved, we can't do it without it's a community. It's not us, it's the community. So we appreciate your support and your interest, and thank you for taking the time with us.
You're welcome. We are here every Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're going to be talking all things blockchain, all things Connect United. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today.